Imagine the scenario. You're doing everything you can to carry your team to victory. Everyone's counting you out, but you raise your game to another level. You're having the game of your life, and you're so close to victory. Then all of a sudden, the other team pulls off the impossible. You suffer a crushing defeat that will end up impacting your entire career. This is something that we have seen many times with some of the league's greatest players. We're going to be discussing the most devastating, legacy-altering defeats. Let's start with Kobe Bryant in the 2003 playoffs against the San Antonio Spurs. The Lakers were looking to make history. They were the defending three-time champion, and they were looking to be the only team in modern-day history to win 4 consecutive titles. But they had to go through the best team in the league, Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs. The series was tied at 2 apiece, and the Lakers knew how big this game was going to be. If they pull out the win, they could eliminate the Spurs on their home floor in Game 6. But Tim Duncan had other plans. He was crushing the Lakers, and they were up by 25 points with 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter. The game seemed to be over, but Kobe Bryant was not going to go down without a fight. He ended up scoring 20 points in the next 14 minutes, which brought the Lakers all the way back. He made a total of 5 3-pointers during that span to cut the lead to 1 point. He was about to lead the Lakers to one of the biggest comebacks in NBA history. And with 14 seconds left, history was within their grasp. In the final play, Kobe had a shot to be the hero and to make the game-winning 3-pointer. But he decided to pass it to Robert Horry, who was wide open. And the shot went in and out. Everybody was shocked with how close they were to winning that game. It was a devastating loss that was too much for them to recover from. Their season and their hopes to make history were officially over in the following game. But Kobe Bryant had the last laugh. We're in the exact situation in the 2004 playoffs. The Lakers are playing against the Spurs in the semifinals. It's Game 5 with the series tied at 2 apiece. But this time, it was the Lakers that were in control. However, the Spurs slowly came all the way back. They had a 1-point lead with less than a minute to go. But on the other end, Kobe made a big shot and the Lakers regained the lead. With only 5 seconds left, the Spurs decided to put the ball in the hands of their best player. Shaquille O'Neal was guarding him, and he was giving him no room to move. Duncan threw up a prayer, and it somehow went in. He made the biggest shot of his career that seemed to give San Antonio the victory. But there were still 0.4 seconds remaining. After calling 3 timeouts, the Lakers had no other option but to throw the ball to Derek Fisher, and he made the most improbable game-winning shot in NBA history. Tim Duncan's biggest moment was erased just like that, and the Spurs were eliminated in the following game. As much as that hurt him, that doesn't compare to what he went through in the 2013 finals. They're playing against the Miami Heat, who have LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. This was going to be a tough series for them to win, but they had a 3-2 series lead. All they needed was 1 game to win the championship. In Game 6, the Spurs had a 5-point lead with 28 seconds remaining. The game was over. The league was even getting ready to crown the Spurs the champion. Tim Duncan had a vintage performance. He had 30 points and 16 rebounds up to that point. But with 19 seconds remaining, Coach Greg Popovich decided to take out their best player. And in the next play, LeBron James missed a shot, but Chris Bosh kept the play alive by grabbing the rebound. That set up this huge shot by Ray Allen, who tied the game and kept their title hopes alive. If it wasn't for that key substitution, maybe Duncan would have grabbed the rebound and secured the victory. Instead, he was helpless, standing on the sideline, watching the play unfold. He did everything he could to help his team bounce back from such a devastating loss, but he wasn't able to. Although they were very close to winning Game 7 on the road, Duncan missed 2 easy shots at the rim that would have tied the game with less than a minute left. On the other end, LeBron James made a huge shot that pushed the lead to 4 points. Tim Duncan had a golden opportunity to win 6 championships without losing a single time in the finals, but it was tragically stolen from his hands. Kevin Durant experienced something similar in the 2021 playoffs. He's playing against a 2-time MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Unfortunately for Durant, 2 of his star teammates got injured during the series. Kyrie Irving and James Harden both missed 3 games. He had to try to beat this team by himself, and he nearly pulled it off. In Game 7, he was looking to carry his team on his shoulders. He was going to play every single second of this game, and he was having the game of his life. He ended up with 48 points, which was the most that anybody has scored in a Game 7 up to that point. Even with everything he was doing, the Nets were down by 2 points. But they had a chance to keep their title hopes alive, and Durant was looking to go for the kill. He went to a spot and made what seemed to be the game-winning 3-pointer. But after the referees reviewed the play, he had a toe on the 3-point line. The shot was ruled a 2-pointer, and the game went to overtime. At that point, Kevin Durant gave everything he had. He was unable to score in the extra period, and the Nets lost the game. He was only an inch away from proving that he could win it all without Steph Curry. He couldn't blame the refs for this defeat. They were just doing their job. But we have a couple of players who can't say the same thing. Isaiah Thomas is one of those players who lost the championship because of the referees. Let's go back to Game 6 of the 1988 Finals. The Detroit Pistons had a 3-2 series lead against Magic Johnson and the Los Angeles Lakers, and they are only 1 game away from winning their first title in franchise history. The game is close in the 3rd quarter, and Isaiah Thomas severely sprains his ankle. This was the worst possible time for the Pistons to lose their leader and best player, not when they're so close to accomplishing the goal. But Isaiah refuses to stay out of the game. He comes back, and he has the most heroic and inspiring performance in NBA history, in my humble opinion. It was obvious he was in pain. It was obvious it hurt just to run up and down the court. Despite the pain, he scored 25 total points in the 3rd quarter. He brought the Pistons to the brink of the championship on 1 good leg. And with 27 seconds left in the game, they had a 1-point lead. The Lakers gave the ball to Kareem, and he was fouled without being touched. It was a terrible call by the referee that gave the Lakers an undeserving victory. It erased such a magical performance by Thomas, and he couldn't help his team much in the following game with how badly his ankle swelled up. If it wasn't for the Lakers getting bailed out by the refs, Isaiah could have led the Pistons to 3 straight titles. If you think that was bad, Chris Webber was also cheated badly by the referees. At least Isaiah Thomas won 2 titles. Chris Webber was robbed of that opportunity. This occurred in the infamous 2002 Conference Final Series against the Lakers. It's Game 6, and the Kings are 1 game away from reaching the finals. The game is extremely competitive and tense, but the Kings showed character. They are playing toe-to-toe with the 2-time defending champions, and the score is tied heading to the 4th quarter. That is when the referees decided to take matters into their own hands. The Lakers shot a grand total of 27 free throws in the 4th quarter alone. The Kings shot 25 for the entire game. This alarming discrepancy has caused many conspiracy theories that the NBA fixed its game in order to force a Game 7 for increased ratings. For a player to be on the wrong side of such injustice must be infuriating. Chris Webber has been accused of not being clutch in big moments, but in this game, he scored a team-high 26 points on 55% shooting, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists. That includes an 8-point 4th quarter that kept the Kings in the game. But he was never given a fair chance to complete the biggest performance of his career. If they would have won this game, there are many who firmly believe the Kings would have won the title. Instead, they lost the game and eventually the series. The last example might be the most devastating. Imagine how frustrating it is to reach the finals 5 times and to lose to the same opponent. That's what Jerry West had to endure in the 60s with the Boston Celtics. He always came short because the Lakers didn't have a big man that could contend with Bill Russell. They were always overmatched. But in 1969, they had Will Chamberlain. Now they had all the pieces in place. And when they found out that Bill Russell was going to retire after the season, they knew they had to send him with a taste of his own medicine. And they got their wish by playing Boston for the 6th and final time of that decade. However, Jerry's star teammates were not performing well. Elgin Baylor averaged under 40% from the field, and Will Chamberlain averaged a measly 11 points per game. So Jerry West was forced to carry this super team on offense, and he was spectacular. It was the best that he's ever played in the finals. He averaged 37.9 points per game for the series. That included a 53-point performance in Game 1. The series was pushed to Game 7, and Jerry West saved his best for last. He recorded an incredible stat line of 42 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists. He was going to do everything possible to beat that team. However, something unthinkable happened at the worst possible time. Wilt suffered a minor injury with about 5 minutes left in the game, and after sitting on the bench briefly, he asked to get back in the game. However, the coach refused to let him back in. Apparently, he wanted to prove that he could win without him. It was such a prideful and egotistical thing to do at such a critical point in the game. This points to how dysfunctional this team was. Although the Lakers were the more talented team, they lost to the Celtics. Jerry West was awarded the first ever Finals MVP for his spectacular performance, but it did not erase the pain of coming so close to beating his hated rival. That concludes this video. Are there any other examples that you can think of that are just as devastating? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.